I have found that fine wavy hair care is a delicate balancing act. On one side, you want to address dryness and frizz, and then on the other, I need to make sure I don't weigh down my waves and leave them limp and lifeless. Today, I want to share with you 10 practical tips, things that have helped my hair feel healthier, look thicker and fuller, and just really given me more good hair days. Hopefully they will do the same for you. Let's get straight into this with tip number 1, prioritize damage. Now, first up, if your hair is not damaged, please feel free to jump ahead to tip number 2.
This doesn't concern you.
But if your hair is damaged, I honestly think that this has to be the priority over anything else, because all the other tips that follow won't have anywhere near as much impact if you're not addressing damage. It's a big topic. I am planning a separate video on sharing everything I did to help transform my hair from thinning, fine, very fragile to feeling much healthier and stronger. But to be helpful in this video, I'm just going to share the 3 key things that I think make a big difference. And number 1 might seem really obvious, so I apologise in advance if this seems basic. You have to work out what behaviour, and it might be behaviours, are causing the damage to your hair. For me, I was heat styling every time I washed my hair, which was every other day. I was styling from soaking wet hair, and I was very inconsistent with heat protectant. So you just need to identify what it is that you're doing that's causing the most amount of damage. I'm not saying that you then have to give up that thing entirely. So, I still have colour treatments, I do still heat style. I've just completely transformed the way that I do those things. Number 2, definitely introduce bond repair treatments. I think they have been one of the most amazing innovations in hair care and have helped me really transform my hair from feeling so fragile and so floofy to really soft and strong hair. So definitely introduce bond repair into your hair care routine if it doesn't already exist. And number 3, protein treatments. Protein made a significant improvement to the feel of my hair straight away, which is really encouraging. I think dealing with damaged hair can be quite disheartening at times because it does take time, but if you can make your hair feel and look better, less frizzy, more shiny, then you're going to be happier. So I would definitely recommend protein treatments. Today I thought I wouldn't go through specific products because I have lots of favourite videos on my channel. I have also put together all of my current favourite holy grail products in a digital download. So I'll include the link for that in the description box below. Tip number 2 is get a haircut. Now this is going to be a very individual thing, obviously, because we all have different face shapes and characteristics and also personal style. But I just wanted to share with you that one of the most amazing transformative things I did for my hair was only a few months ago, so April 2025. I had just the most amazing haircut I've ever experienced. For my fine hair, I had some face framing layers cut in. I then had some longer layers cut through, so nothing too choppy, but it's just given it so much more movement. And then the third thing that was quite incredible was the hairstylist cut my hair dry. It's the first time I've ever had a dry haircut, and I don't think I'll ever be going back. When you've got wavy hair, you know how much it can bounce up depending on how you style it. And I think many a time I've walked out of a hair salon where they've cut my hair wet and I've asked to keep as much length as possible, but by the time they've dried it, it's sort of bounced right up and you think, oh, it's so much shorter than I wanted it to be. I have a whole vlog style video on my experience of getting my hair cut, so I'll link that above in case you want to see a bit more of the detail. But if you can find somebody who is just a specialist at cutting, passionate about cutting hair, and does a really good consultation and just sees it as an art form rather than just getting a trim, it has been revolutionary for my fine waves. And actually, if you're based in the UK and want to know, I went to the Hair Bros in London and I had my hair cut by the most amazing lady called Cassidy. I'm just going to open my blinds, it's got a little bit dark in here. Tip number 3, clarifying wash. And more specifically, try and find your holy grail of clarifying shampoos. Build up on your scalp and roots and throughout your hair is always going to cause issues. It can make my hair look limp and lifeless. It can make it look drier. It can even actually make it feel and look frizzier when I've got product buildup. So definitely make sure, particularly if you've gone down a sulfate-free shampoo route, that you have the most gentle possible when you have fine waves, but thorough cleansing, clarifying shampoo that you can find. And if you're wondering, well, how often should I clarify my hair? That is a really good question. And these days, I promise you, this will happen for you as well. It does become instinctual. You start to recognize the signs of when you need to clarify. But in the early days, I would say I probably did it every 4th or 5th wash. It will be different for everyone because it depends on how much product you use and what type of products, how oily your scalp is, how often perhaps you work out, how sweaty you get. All of those kind of factors do come into it, which is why I say eventually I think it does become instinctual. But a clarifying wash can really solve so many different problems in just one wash routine. Frizz, lifelessness, even stringy waves. So yeah, find yourself an amazing clarifying shampoo. Tip number 4, upright shampooing. So what I mean is, if you have fine hair, and I assume that you do because you're watching this video, avoid washing your hair with your head tipped forward, with all your hair that way. I always wash my hair stood upright in the shower. Firstly, I actually find it easier to get to my roots that way. But secondly, and more importantly, if I tip my head forward, my hair is going to get so much more knotted and so much more tangly. And of course, then you've got to detangle that and you're more likely to lose hair in the shower. And when you have fine hair, you want to keep hold of it as much as possible. So upright shampooing, always. That's all I have to say about that. Let's move on to tip number 5. And that is something else you do in the shower, fully rinse. No conditioners or treatment masks should be left in your hair. If I left a protein mask or conditioner, even just at the ends of my hair, if I didn't fully rinse that out, my waves would look so lifeless and so limp. It's just too heavy for fine hair. It just makes it go flat and limp and lifeless. So always fully rinse. Tip number 6 is use lightweight products. And this sort of connects with number 5 because it's about not weighing down your fine wavy hair. So I kind of find that products fall into 2 categories for me. Safety zone would be things like sprays and mists or anything with a very runny texture. I'm pretty sure that that's going to work for my fine wavy hair. Things that fall into the danger zone would be very thick oils, anything with a very buttery, thick texture and thicker creams. So hopefully that's a bit of a guide. If you're picking a new product and you've got fine hair, I would steer towards the lightweight products so that you don't weigh down your waves. Now with that said, and I know I said I wasn't going to mention specific products, but I do just want to share that I find the Olaplex products an exception to the rule. And the reason I mention it is because I use them a lot in my videos and they work incredibly well for my colour treated fine wavy hair. Today, for example, I used for the first time ever number 6, which is a bond smoother. It's a styling product. It is a creamy texture. It's probably even a little bit thicker than number 5, which I also love, which is their leave-in moisturiser mend. But honestly, my hair feels amazing today. It feels soft. I think it looks incredibly shiny. I can't get over how little frizz I have. I'm really blown away from a first time use. So if you see me using those products in other videos and you think, well, I thought you said to use lightweight, I'm just trying to be helpful and kind of give you a rough guide of if you were in a shop and you were looking at products on a shelf, you're going to be much safer going for runny textures than you are heavy butters and creams. But for me personally, even though I have fine hair, I do find the Olaplex range seems to work incredibly well. And the creamy products do seem to be very lightweight. Okay, so tip number 7, gentle detangling. For me, it's not about whether you do this when your hair is wet or when it's dry. It's about what you apply to your hair first and the tool that you use to do it. So I choose to sometimes detangle when my hair is dry and sometimes detangle when my hair is wet. If I was to detangle when my hair was dry, I would either add an oil first, or perhaps if I was going to do it before I went to bed, I would add an overnight serum, something that's going to give my hair lots of lovely slip. And then I would use my tangle teaser to very gently detangle, and I would work from the ends upwards in sections. So I would hold and isolate the ends, which is where usually I get the most tangles. If I was detangling when my hair is wet, I would make sure that it had lots of lovely conditioner in it, and then I would detangle in the shower, normally with my wet brush. I find the wet brush in the shower, it won't snag, it won't pull, it's got that little bit of flex. And again, I work from the roots upwards in sections, isolating. And if I come across a knot or a tangle and it's a really persistent one, I would add even more conditioner to give it more slip. So either method, you're adding something to give slip to your hair, and then you're using a really gentle tool. You just really don't want to be going in aggressively with a hairbrush and ripping out your fine hair, because we want to keep as much of that stuff attached to our scalp as possible. Tip number 8, volumizing techniques. There are lots of things that you can do to create the illusion of thicker and fuller hair. So let me share some of my favorites. If we start with like a really simple one, is when your hair is wet, if you're going to say style it in a loose, wavy, kind of air dried look, maybe you're just doing a little bit of scrunching, always make sure you take your fingers in at the root after you've sort of brushed through any product and just shake things up a bit. That way your hair isn't stuck down to your head, and you just lift it just that little bit, and it'll give it more texture and more shape. That's kind of like level 1. So if you wanted to level up from that, you could use things like claw grips or root clips, or even just actually a wide tooth comb. And you can then manipulate your hair, and because it's wavy, it will hold shape really well in a lifted position. So with a claw grip, I love to do it by just applying it down the center. With root clips, I would wait until my hair was a little bit drier and add those in, and then just wait until my hair was fully dry. You get a great lift from root clips. Or if I'm kind of pushed for time and I just want something quick and easy, I would use a comb, pop that into my hair, push it upwards towards the parting, and then just blast the hairdryer. And again, you're just getting a little bit of root lift, which will create the illusion of slightly thicker, fuller hair. Another really good one, quick and easy, is just flipping your hair gently from side to side while you're drying. Now, you could do that if you're rough drying like I did today for a smoother finish, but you can also do that when you're diffusing. And again, it's just making sure that the root is drying in almost the opposite direction to then how it's going to sit, because then it will come out in a more lifted, voluminous way. And another great thing, I'll make this the last one, but another great method that I like to do for some beautiful volume at the root is the heatless blowout method. This is absolutely fantastic for making your hair look so much thicker and fuller than it is. If you're not sure how to do this technique, I'll link my video above, but you're using generally, I would say 2 or 3 satin rods, and you wrap your hair around the rod in almost the opposite direction to how it will eventually sit. And again, what happens is you get this beautiful lift at the top of your hair, making it look so much thicker and fuller. And then you get also a lovely wave and kind of like that bouncy blowout effect without having to spend ages, you know, using a heat styling tool. So that method is brilliant for a more voluminous look. Tip number 9, sleep protection. You absolutely want to protect your hair while you sleep. It will make your waves last longer, it will reduce the amount of frizz that you have to deal with, and it should make styling in the morning so much quicker and easier. You've got a ton of options here. My personal favourite is to wear a satin bonnet at night. You could sleep on a satin pillowcase. You could pop your hair up into a loose ponytail. I would use a satin scrunchie for that, because you don't want like a tight elastic or anything that's going to cause breakage. You could also wrap your hair in a satin scarf or silk if your budget allows. And there are different techniques, different ways that you can wrap a satin scarf to protect your hairstyle. But it doesn't really matter what you choose. You just want to make sure you're doing something to protect your fine hair, reduce friction, reduce frizz, and get your hair to last longer so that you don't need to restyle or do a refresh routine in the morning. And finally, tip number 10. And I guess maybe I accidentally fibbed a little bit because I said 10 practical tips. But number 10 is actually a little bit more of a mindset shift. And that is, please don't hate me for this, try to embrace a little bit of frizz. When you have fine hair, you can use frizz to your advantage. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go crazy and start backcombing your hair, 80s style. I just mean to kind of embrace a little bit of it will give you more lift and more sort of feeling of thickness and fullness. I know it's a difficult one because so much is shown online of smooth, sleek, wavy hair equals healthy hair, and all the products that are marketed to us are about frizz control and fighting frizz. And yes, for the most part, you know, I don't want super frizzy, undefined Hagrid style hair. But actually, sometimes, particularly if I'm wearing my hair wavy, if I've done a really simple scrunch technique or kind of a beachy undone vibe, an air dried routine, if I allow a little bit of that natural texture to show through, my hair will look and feel so much thicker and fuller. So if you can, it's a bit tricky, number 10, but yeah, embrace a little bit of that frizz. However, if you think I've totally lost my marbles and you're like, Tori, I don't want frizz at all, then you may enjoy watching this video next because it is my top 10 frizz fighting products. Thank you as always for watching. I really appreciate the support. Take care, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.